to talk to you guys for a second, if I can. Hopefully, a couple beers or drinks in you right now, so we'll loosen up and make it a little more fun. But first of all, Mike and I want to say 1,000% thank you for coming, watching our things, and participating and being a partner with us in this. Because you guys are the first people to see this movie. And all of the feedback, positive, negative, it doesn't matter. It's all important to us. And one thing that we've learned in the journey, people ask me, what was the best part of the movie? Well, in a non-kind of way, it's meeting the people that are behind the victims. And those people appreciate the exposure that we've given the topic that nobody else wants to talk about. I'm talking about the sheriffs, the victims' families. And let me go back to the first movie for a second. How many people here saw the first movie? Okay. Well, I'm going to introduce you to some people here that you may not know. But if you saw the first movie, really the cornerstone of that flick was the Jared Avenero story. And one of the nicest men I've gotten to meet my whole life was Alan. And he's sitting right back there at this table. So that movie would have been nothing without Alan's participation and his wife Debbie, his emotions and his story and the articles that he had of his son. And without that contribution, we would have went nowhere. And Alan and I and Mike and my family turned out to be best friends. And I'm going to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. So now another question. How many people here have seen Vanished when it was on TV? More importantly, how many people have never heard of it? This is important. Okay. I'm surprised more people didn't raise their hand. So that was a 2-hour special on the History Channel in January. And part of that team, in fact, all of that team that was on that special was here. And start off with probably the biggest mountain goat I've ever known. And seriously, Dennis Full right here. Kind of behind the scenes that you never saw is one day a crew says, oh yeah, we're going to go film over here, and Dennis can sleep in. Yeah. So I get Dennis to go, hey Dennis, let's take off. We're going to go all the way around the backside of the park, come up, and walk up a valley by ourselves, and search an area that nobody's ever been. He goes, yeah, let's do it. So it was never on film, it was never photographed, but it was just something that we did together. And we didn't get in trouble. Yeah, we were hitting an area where we weren't supposed to be, but yeah, it was fun. The other part of that team is also here. It's a couple. And Harvey and Gina Pratt have known for over 10 years. And how this started is I had a lead on some sightings up in the Hooper Reservation in Northern California. And I had made some inroads, and I had a lot of witnesses. And I was looking for an FBI-trained forensic artist to draw sketches of what people saw in the woods. And I saw these sketches by this guy named Harvey Pratt. And I said, well, he would be a pretty good fit. And then I kept reading, and I said, oh my gosh, he's the Cheyenne Arapaho Native American chief. And I'm on a reservation. And I said, oh, this is a big no. So I called Harvey and I go, oh yeah, what's he going to say when I start talking about strange, scripted topics? Harvey and I'm talking to him on the phone, he goes, Dave, I'm all in. Let's go. He goes, but one caveat to that, you better bring my wife. And you think, here we go. And you gotta bring the wife. So I didn't know anything about Gina at the time. Well, Gina was a special agent for the state of Oklahoma too, so I really had a big bang for the buck. And we did 2 books together. And over the years, then we did Vanish together with Dennis. And if anyone's ever known a great artist, I never have before Harvey. Harvey this year applied and through a bunch of worldwide entries, he won the entry for the design on the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. for the Native American War Memorial. Two of the most humble people you will ever meet. And I encourage you to go talk to them tonight because really, really nice people. And now, where is Ron Moorhead? Over the years, I never really knew Ron super well, but I approached him with this idea about this film on hunters, and I said, I'd like to go into your camp because I know over the years, 50, 60 years, that had all this strange stuff happen, and it was in real close proximity to where these other people disappeared at the Nella Vista. I said, it's just a natural that we film there. He goes, Dave, I've been asked dozens of times, and I've never taken anybody in there. And we kept talking, and finally he goes, I'm bringing you in. And he goes, you gotta come alone. I said, no, I can't do it alone. I gotta bring somebody with me. He goes, who are you bringing? And I go, well, I got this video director guy. He's pretty much a mountain goat. Yeah, I don't know. Make a long story short, it was Mike and myself, and Ron, Scott Nelson, and Scott's son Stephen. And I've been a lot of places in my life, and camped a lot, and I honestly have never been anywhere with a group of people that the entire week got along perfectly. No drama, nothing but great stories, and that man right there in the black hat, again, just out of the mold of Dennis and Harvey and Alan, humble, nice, credible, high integrity. And if anyone ever gave me a ration of crap about Ron's story being in the movie, I would, with my heart, have no problem defending it. Because what Ron did at the time is something I would have done. In 1974, there was no digital audio files. Ron submitted those files to the University of Texas and the University of Wyoming and got returns that nobody imagined. And the world really doesn't know much about those recordings or what he encountered. So it's fascinating. So, Mike and I want to thank Ron from the bottom of our heart. Thanks for your legacy. Now, the guy standing next to Ron, oh, you can? Well, that's good.
These are still the last batteries for my hearing buds.
And right in between the two of them is Connie Willis, who's a Coast to Coast Weekend host on Coast to Coast Game, if you don't know Connie. Getting back to Scott. You always got to have one person around the campfire that tells great stories. And Scott used to be a crypto-linguist specialist for the U.S. Navy that would sit in a room in an island off of Cuba with these headphones and listen to transmissions from different islands and ships. And he would hear things that you and I people listen to you about. And you give him enough drinks, you're far enough into the woods, and he starts telling stories. And Ron goes, Dave, you don't know how many wars I've started. And that's probably the truth. But great, great stories. And thank you, Scott. And the only thing I miss is the last guy who wasn't on the trip with us.
I'm not saying any of that is true because I didn't hear one word of it.
So, the last guy we missed is Stephen, his son. And Stephen was the nicest guy. And you can imagine if you had a dad that talked a lot and told a lot of stories, we'd always look at Stephen and go, is that true, Stephen? Yeah. Was your dad really like that younger? Yeah. He would never say anything. And I thought he was going to be here and would have been a lot of fun. Mike, come here. Come here. Come here. So, you saw me on film, but I'm 10% of that story. Because this whole film would mean nothing to you, trust me, without the person behind the camera, the person managing the process, the person editing the film, the person managing the graphics. Somebody just asked me, hey, when you guys went out, what was the size of your crew? So when we did the Vanish project, there were 8 to 10 people on set with us all the time. When we did this film, 3. When we were done, Mike got all the hard drives, and that guy right there disappeared for 4 months and sat in a trailer in a room, and he edited that thing down to action. If you don't know how hard that is, it's unreal. It's hard to find people to work that hard. A lot of the people here in this room that worked on the Vanish project were shocked that the project just went away. There was no publicity, there was nothing. History let it evaporate away. Mike and I together have some limited control over what we produce and put in front of you. Mike really is the magician behind what you just saw, and he deserves the credit for what you saw. He is a man of few words. He needs to say something.
Watching Dave on stream because he is dedicated to this, and it's a pleasure to work with him. And I hope that our work and his work and his books keeps these cases alive and helps future people out in the woods and keeps us aware.
Lastly, 2 people here that were in the film that have been a part of my life for the last several years is I got a call about maybe 6 years ago from a person I never met. They said, hey Dave, we're a big fan and we want you to be in our show. And I thought, oh, okay. So I started listening. And he goes, how about if we fly out to Mississippi and we have some barbecue, and we talk, and we kind of set up the program. I said, yeah, that'd be fun. I've never been to Mississippi. So, Cuz Strickland, who's a senior VP of Mossy Oak, went down there, met him, loved the guy. The same frame as Harvey and Alan and Tom, Scott, Dennis, all these guys, and we ended up going turkey hunting in New Mexico. Who would have figured? And hey, it's Mossy Oak property. I'm thinking, oh my God, the turkeys are going to jump in my lap. I can shoot a shotgun, and it's not like a rifle, so I can hit it. I trained with a shotgun for 20 years, so I can do pretty good. So we go out there, and we get to this house, pretty nice house, and we have a cook. And Cuz goes, hey, Dave, there's another guy with us. I said, oh, really? And some guy walks up, really ripped. And he goes, oh, this is so-and-so, World Wrestling Federation champion. And another guy, shook his hand, super nice guy, very humble. So he ends up shooting turkey. I saw one with binoculars once. It's not as close as that. But we're sitting around the campfire, and we're talking about missing hunters. And out of the blue, this World Wrestling Federation guy jumps up and sits down next to us and starts engaging in the conversation. He wasn't supposed to be part of the segment, but he was interested. And I understand that this is an issue with my topic, is that a lot of people don't want to touch it. And it's hard to get over that gap sometimes of understanding, hey, this isn't an ugly-boogly topic. This is happening all the time. I mean, there's people that go missing and families that have no contact ever and ever again, and nobody talks to them again. And after living through Alan's eyes and seeing how he was treated when he lost Jerry, and then seeing the Stalings and seeing how the National Park Service treated them, it's unbelievable. And if nobody talks about it, the biggest fear in my mind is that my family or one of my friends' families is going to be victimized the same way, and nobody's going to care after 7 to 10 days. And nobody's going to hear about it. And there's not going to be any follow-up. So one of the things I want to thank is I want to thank Cuz Strickland and Mossy Oak for coming on camera, talking about hunter safety, and helping us out along the way. So Cuz, thank you. And it's God's warning. So this is something I never did in the first movie. I never really thought.
Hey, I want to say something.
Uh-oh. What I do?
I think it's important for us to understand how many people Dave has impacted with his honesty and his courage and creativity to show these things to us, what's going on. And when he approached me, there were things about phenomena that I was afraid to talk about, the families did not talk about. Dave opened all those doors for all of us. He's made it special for us. He's made us realize that there's things out there that we need to understand and to protect. And Dave has impacted so many of us, thousands of us, not just those in this room, but thousands of us across this country and in other countries. And I think that he's a pioneer. I think Dave is one of those kind of guys that has opened doors and opened hearts and minds. And I think it's important that we understand that, Dave. I think I love you for that, for doing all those things for us.
Thank you, Dave.
Because when you have a missing family member and everybody comes up with weird theories that don't make sense, and when everybody goes away and nobody wants to pay attention or no one wants to help, then you run into a guy like this. He's incredible. I mean, when you're talking about family members, we're looking for anything and anyone and any person who's willing to help. And I'm going to tell this part of the story again. The first time I met Dave, we met for lunch pretty close to where I work. And the first thing Dave said to me was, I know more about this story. I know more about your son than you do. And my first thought in my head was, this guy's not too smart. Then we sat down to have lunch. Oh my goodness. He pulled out this book with all these pictures, all this information concerning my son, and I realized I have a hero sitting next to me. Not just a person that I haven't met yet, but a bona fide hero. And like I said, Dave and I are really good friends, and the reason for that is because of his heart, because of who he is, and because he wants to help those who can't find any help. So thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Artie. Start off. The helicopter segment where we're flying over the crazy mountains. What isn't shown, and if Mike really wanted to talk a lot, he could just make me look so bad. But we're flying over the crazy mountains. It wasn't even that rough. And the scenery is a 10, and I've got the sheriff in the back, and everything's going great. I'm just feeling horrible. And I thought it was turning green, and the pilot looks at me and goes, I better land. And he gets out his GPS, and there's this one plot of public land in the middle of the crazies, and we sat down. Oh, I was so blessed. I sat down in that helicopter. 3 or 4 minutes later, you're looking around, there's nobody anywhere, and it's absolutely serenity. And thankfully, the rest of that ride was okay, but boy, I was feeling bad then. Really bad. So I'm sorry, somebody got a hand up over here. Any questions? Oh, perfect.
I got a question. I just want to know if you guys are going to continue the work that you're doing in film, because it seems like you have so many stories from your 8 books that you guys have a lot more capacity to keep making more movies.
Okay, the question is, what's next? Are we going to make another movie? Are we going to... It's a good question. I don't know. And it's not up to me, really. It's hard. It's hard to do better than you did last time. And without the guy back there, jump over that hurdle, I don't think I can do it. So I need Mike's participation, and he's a super busy guy, and he's got things lined up, and there's a lot of things, stars and things have to line up, and who knows? I hope so, because like I said, it's a great experience going out and spending time in the outdoors, trying to do something positive, trying to educate the public on some level, giving exposure to a case where the family has been abandoned. Yes?
I'm going to ask this. So, do you think there's a correlation between your Bigfoot research and missing 411?
Do I think that there's a correlation between the Bigfoot research and missing 411? A lot of people also don't know that I've been a MUFON investigator for 14 years. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah. So MUFON, we usually do a phone network. So I like to think I'm 10 miles wide, about a half an inch thick. So I've had, hopefully, thousands of people read my entire series of books. I've never, ever had one person that's read the whole series and said they have the answer. I don't think it's that easy. With the recent revelation of the Tic Tac UFOs, and people don't know this, but Angie and I were at a conference in Oregon, and I was alone in a room with Commander Frater for an hour, just he and I, bullshitting and talking. And he's the guy that went nose on with that Tic Tac off of San Diego. He said, Dave, we don't have anything like that. And he said, it moved like nothing I've ever seen. And he said, I know that our pilots could handle the G-forces, that thing coming down from 30,000 feet to 50 feet off the deck in 0.78 seconds to a dead stop. He goes, there's no way. He goes, my butt would be through the sea. So, I think there's a lot in our world we don't understand. And the reason those 2 cases were in the movie is because they could both be validated. That's the only reason. So with Ron's, he had the tapes, they were validated by a professor. And with the Lima, Ohio case, Bruce McAbee is the premier optical physicist in the world. And when he looked at that picture and said, it came from the phone, Verizon said it came from the phone, but Verizon said that the phone couldn't take it. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, we don't know what we mean. So what happened? Something happened there. And then with Jan losing her memory for that period of time, something happened. And then when we asked the obvious question, well, do you think it was related to what your nephew saw in the field a half mile away? You know, two coincidences like that, two crazy coincidences like that. What would be the odds, right? Anything else?
In the movie, you mentioned that a lot of these disappearances take place at like 6:30 in the evening, roundabouts. Have you identified any specific like times of the year when they're more prevalent?
So most disappearances occur sometime around 4 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Statistically, that's what it says. Time of the year is a tough one because you have to think about when are more people out in the woods. So let's say January, February, not a lot of people out there. And then you start looking at October, November, late September, a lot of people in the woods hunting. Numbers go up. June, July, August, early September, a lot of people out there, summer break. So that's a real tough one to gauge because of that. But when you look at it month over month, it all kind of makes sense in the waves and based on what I just said. Anything else? Yeah?
Dave, what propels you to teach everyone about this?
What propels me to teach everybody about this? You know, it eats at me a lot. And I'm being truthful, it really eats at me, not the unknown part of it, but I hate the part. I hate it. The way Alan was treated, the way the Stalings were treated, the way these families are treated by the national parks. Nobody knows this yet, but I would tell you that Mike and I were in Yosemite on a case and filmed a good majority of the case of an incident of a disappearance in Yosemite. And we actually sat in front of a special agent from the Park Service. He didn't know who we were, but we sat in front and listened to their story about this disappearance. And we were with a family who essentially has been told nothing about the case, and no one's looked at the case in probably 50 years. So, and in that case, that family said, nobody cares. Nobody was willing to come here and help us and ask questions and figure out what's going on. And in the case of the Stalings from Mesa Verde and vanished, that family was told that they couldn't fly a helicopter over the park to look for their dad. And then when there were 4 family members that all said they were told this. And then when the park superintendent's confronted about it, I never said that. No, you can fly a helicopter. Why don't they want helicopters flying over? What harm is that doing to anybody? So, really, and Alan and I have talked about what I'm going to say next. What's needed is that when a family loses somebody, within that first couple of days, somebody who's already been through it, who knows the bullshit, can come in and stand next to that family and listen to what the Park Service or the Forest Service or whoever is dictating and saying, you got to do this or you got to do that. And they can just say, no, we're not doing that. You can't force us to do that. You need to do this. Or we have the option to bring in 10 more dog teams. Why aren't you going to do it? And they're certified dog teams. Why not? So, Alan and I have talked about that a little bit, and I've actually had Alan call victims' families that were in that process to see if he could help them. And by the good grace of God, he's that kind of person that will do it. So kudos to you, Alan, for doing that.
In all your cases you research, is it usually always one person that vanishes, or have you had cases where 2 hikers or 2 hunters vanish?
Everyone hear that? Has there been cases where 2 people have vanished? There have been, but it's really, really rare. Very rare. I'll tell you about a case fairly recently. Within the last year, a woman was a retiree from the U.S. Forest Service as a ranger in Idaho near the Selway River. And when she retired, she became a cook for a hunting camp. And so it's a 5-mile ride into this hunting camp. They set it up. They came back. They picked her and her dog up, and they brought them to the campsite. And then she was going to get everything ready for the hunters to come in within a couple days. A couple days later, they come in, and she's gone. The dog's gone. in the middle of nowhere. And there's no way this woman would have left. Massive search, massive. And her dog gets found 2 weeks later, 12 miles away, at the Forest Service office she used to work at. She's never found. But backtrack. The day she disappeared, 20 hours after they realized she was gone, and 14 miles south, there's a film crew that's at the Penway Mines filming a segment for a British TV station. And there were 6 people on this crew. Everybody on the crew says that they're just standing there talking, and this one guy with the crew who's been part of the crew for a long time, he starts acting weird. And he said he starts looking side to side, and they said in front of him was a very steep hill. And they said they looked, and the guy took off running as fast as you can imagine, dead run into the woods. Nobody could keep up with him, massive search, he's gone. Same county, 14 miles away, pull resources off of that, come over here, search, the guy's never been found. Now you think about that. In all of the wilderness, everywhere away, these 2 cases 20 hours apart, 14 miles apart. That's pretty weird. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Okay, where's Heidi Streetman? Heidi, right there, another hero, right there. Heidi Streetman's a professor here in Denver. She read my books. She took the bull by the horns. She wrote up a proposal to get signatures online, petition, to get transparency in the National Park Service so that all the disappearances will be online, easy access, easily understood for everybody. Heidi went so far as to get a congressman involved, got me involved, pushed it. She did a great job. And it's at this roadblock right now with the congressman taking action. But thank you, Heidi Streetman, for getting involved. Ultimately, goal, a couple things. First of all, we have an online list of all missing people in the National Park Service and the U.S. Forest Service. I don't think that's a lot to ask. I don't think that's asking the money. So we get that. The other thing is, I think public awareness about people carrying a personal locator beacon. If everybody carried one, I personally think 95% of my cases would be gone. Because once you activate it, it sends a message up to a satellite, sends a message to the Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, and then they can find you within 10 feet. They look at the coordinates, they call search and rescue for that area, don't move, and they will be there within 24 hours. If everybody carried one of these, problems would be solved. So why doesn't the U.S. Forest Service, the National Park Service, in their ads, advertise that we should be carrying these? Seems like a no-brainer to me. It would cost them less work. And within one public service announcement, they're doing something good. I think that would be my goal. And then, when I first started to get into this, I had done the first 2 books, and somebody in Search and Rescue read them and said, hey, National Association of Search and Rescue, you gotta get this guy to talk. So I'm talking in front of a room of probably 1,600 people. It's huge. And I'm talking about all the statistics and facts and cases. People are listening. And at the end of the talk, any questions? And way in the back of the room, these 2 Alaska State Troopers stand up together. And they say, Dave, you're talking exactly about everything we deal with weekly in Alaska. We are the guys and ladies that do the search and rescue in Alaska. And you know what you're saying? Things we run across all the time. But all these people out here, they don't want to talk about it. So thank you for bringing it up, Dave. You know what? I've never been invited back to that organization. And I think it's because I bring up things that they don't want to hear. If they say that 95% of the kids under 8 years old are found in a radius of 2 miles from the point last seen, well then, damn it, they're going to be found in that radius. And it doesn't matter if I can bring out absolute statistics that show that a 2-year-old boy was found 12 miles away in 9 hours over 2 mountain ranges. Because that completely skews their thinking and their head will blow up. But that's a fact. And I put up a table when I do presentations of all the factual data just like that. And they don't know what to make of it.
So
Of the folks that have been found.
I know some of the things that you said that they don't remember.
They don't remember.
Was there anyone that remembered when it happened and how they got to where they were?
How they got. There was one case where a woman disappeared, and I think it was Arkansas, and she disappeared for like 4 or 5 days. And she was brought to a hospital, and she was interviewed by her family. And her family said that there were quote-unquote men looking at her behind trees while she was lost, and they wouldn't help her. And the physicians at the hospital said she wasn't delusional. She believed that happened to her. So I don't know what that meant, but that's one of the few cases where people come back and actually remember how they got lost and what happened to them while they were gone. But in a weird kind of way, that to me isn't surprising that they can say things like that when you come from both worlds. Like I said, I'm a mile wide and an inch deep. So there's all kinds of abductees in the UFO world that don't remember. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but if someone somehow has the ability to freeze your mind or not allow you to remember, there's I can remember some tragic things happening to young kids, molested, brutalized, and your mind has the ability to block that. So our mind can do it too. So I don't know what's going on, just saying. Anybody else?
Patterns with altitude?
Any patterns with altitude? Other than I get it above 6,000 feet, I'm huffing and puffing. That's a pretty consistent pattern. No, not really. Yeah, question? Strangest case? Wow, that's a hard one. They're all, honest to God, they're strange. I mean, the man sitting right next to you, and that Added case has been turned upside down, sideways. That is one of the strangest, most thoroughly investigated cases, personally, I've ever been involved in. I gotta say that. And Alan knows. Nothing. The sheriffs tell him and they tell the world, mountain lion attack. Huh. Except his son's pants are inside out. There's no blood on any of the clothing. He presents the case to a series of mountain lion experts, and everyone says, no, that's not a mountain lion attack. Then some expert says, oh, the skull rolled down the river, and somehow or another got 550 feet up the embankment with a tooth and other things. And that same skull, to add mystery, has all of these striation marks on it. And when I looked at it first in the pictures, I said, something's not right with this. And some of the striation marks are right angles. So what did I do? I sent that to Harvey Pratt. What did he do? He sent that to a forensic anthropologist in the state of Oklahoma that's looked at 5,000 cases. Never have seen that. Never have seen a skull like that. So what happened? Very mysterious case. And I'm not saying anything out of school. Alan knows everything I just said. Anything else? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, is that? Oh, geez, 2 parts. The significance of? Okay, so what's the intent of the Park Service? So I think our government is here to let you know nothing's going to get past them. They're in control. They have their pulse on the problem. Nothing is serious to them. Honestly, I think that's the way it is. So for them to admit they have no idea what's going on, for them to admit that there's some pattern there that they don't understand, for them to admit that there's disappearances that they can't solve. Like, have you ever heard anybody say, yeah, we brought our dogs in, but they can't find the scent? Did you ever hear that in the press? Hardly ever. And the only way you find it is you dig out the search and rescue reports from law enforcement, and there it is. But nobody wants to admit they failed. It's not a good thing. Now, one thing I want everyone here to know is that if your loved one goes into the woods and they disappear, 98% of the people looking for your loved one is a volunteer. It's not like law enforcement. It's not a ranger. It's not one of those people. It's a volunteer that's been certified to do search and rescue. And I'm telling you, those people do great work. They take time off of their job to go look for your loved one. And they are doing everything they can to find them. And I will never fault them, and I never want to say anything bad about them. And when I say, oh, the victim was found in an area previously searched, I'm not putting that on that search and rescue. I think they searched there, and that person wasn't there. And somehow or another, it got there. So that's not a diss on search and rescue or on the professionals. I don't think it was there. So why they don't admit it, I don't know. But I was on a show a while ago, and I said, you want to take the wind out of Dave's sails? Just release a list of all the missing people. Okay, now we got it. So what's on that list that they don't want us to know? Is there something? Is there a pattern there that comes out? Because I don't think I've figured out all of them yet. And was there another part? Boulder Fields. So when I did the show on Vanish, they sent me to Wisconsin, and I met a theoretical physicist there, great guy. There was 10 times more content than they put on that TV in discussions we had about boulder fields. And there's things in boulders that have a consistency and emanate certain radiation or something that doesn't happen in other areas. He said, Dave, there is something about boulders, and granite specifically. And it's way up there as far as what it does and what it's involved. But I think it's fascinating that the biggest boulder field in the world is Yosemite. And that's the biggest amount of people that have disappeared is Yosemite. And once you read my books, you'll realize that these people aren't disappearing way in the backcountry. A lot of them are disappearing right in the valley floor when they just took a mile hike from their family. So something's happening pretty darn close to home. But we don't know what. And when Mike and I were in Yosemite, I'll tell you this much. This person disappeared, and we didn't understand where exactly they disappeared, and they showed us where they disappeared. And the location where this person disappeared was super eye-opening because it was right where he was staying was right on the edge of nothingness. It wasn't like he was staying in the middle of the valley. It's like his location was at the end of everything. So what happened? I mean, it's a really good story that I hope we can tell because the more we got into it, the more confusing it got. Yeah? Anybody else?
What if the reason was so simple that it would confuse everyone?
What if the reason was so simple it would confuse everyone? That's probably what it is.
Thanks.
That's probably what it is. I mean, when I was sitting with the theoretical physicist and we were talking about portals, and it's a topic that makes some people's heads spin around and go crazy. And he said, Dave, he goes, all of the world's physicists, theoretical physicists, are talking about this right now and trying to see how we can understand and make it work. I said, okay, well, here's the deal. That these people, if a portal was random, then we would be walking down the streets of New York City. We'd see a portal open up in front of us, and the person in front of us would disappear. People would report seeing them, but they don't. Which means that there's got to be intelligence behind it. And I asked him, I said, so could they be directed? He goes, wow. He goes, that's what we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Could we have the energy to direct something like that to make it work the way we wanted it to do? And I'm thinking, I walked out of there and I looked at the director and I said, that's got to make the air. He goes, oh, that's gold. They didn't put it on. I don't know why they didn't put that on. That was perfect. But, yeah, it's probably something so simple that we're all looking past it, and it's probably in front of our nose, but we're too stupid to understand it. Yeah, sir.
Very good. Now, I know you're concentrating on a national park, national forest, government land. Do you find that same kind of disappearance off government or federal lands, like in a county or something? And do you find any difficulty getting information from like the counties as you have with the federal agencies?
Did you see that Sweetgrass County Sheriff that I was interviewing? He was an open book. And Mike and I interviewed a Warren County Sheriff, open book. And one of the key things the Warren County Sheriff said, I don't know how many people picked up on it, they were in those woods, they didn't see one piece of wildlife. Did you guys key on that? That was weird. And when we interviewed the victims or the witnesses, they didn't see any wildlife either. How weird is that in the middle of the Adirondacks? The place should have been teeming with animals. Get back to the sheriffs. I've said this a bunch of times. Sheriffs and city cops, if somebody told us not to say anything, I would purposely violate it and say, screw you, I'm going to tell that guy everything. I'm not holding a secret just because you want me to. And I think those sheriffs, especially those rural counties, they don't care. Now, once you get the government involved, if the government has some leverage on you some way, like a pension, then they can leverage other government employees. But I think against sheriffs and city cops, good luck. We've had some pretty good luck getting those people open up. Does that make sense? Yes, sir.
Recently, the PCM, the 2-year-old that said he was protected by a figure.
Yeah. I looked into it, and I don't put a ton of energy or effort into those cases. I think they're super interesting. But boy, they shut that kid up. And you can't interview her, can't talk to them, nothing. Any of those cases, parents don't want anyone near those kids. And one reason is, if it was your son or your daughter, would you want some unknown entity coming in there talking to your kid? Probably not. So, I'm going to end this for a second. Where's Mike's mom? Where is she? Oh, she's over here. Mrs. DeGrazier. Can you come here for a second? Now, there's really the star of the show, right there. She came all the way from Montana down here. I want you to come cut the cake for me. And that's Amber, my significant other. So did they use a big knife here? Oh, well, I had a big knife right here. Perfect. Mike, did you get a picture of the cake from posterity? You gotta get a picture of your mom cutting this. Yeah, go sit with your mom, for sure. Yeah, Michael, get over there. Yeah, there we go. Put your arm around her. Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Hopefully the band will be back in quick. And thanks a million for being here.
Thank you.